Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about finding the slope of a line. Now when I ask you to calculate the slope, I'm asking you to find the steepness of that line. So we're going to find that today after being given two ordered pairs, so two sets of x and y's, and that's going to tell us how steep that is without even having to look at it. So some things to keep in mind when we start talking about slope. A slope is always a ratio, so a comparison of the vertical change to the horizontal change. So it's always going to be a fraction. So it's the change in y over the change in x, but really what I want you to remember is this rise over run. So please write that down. Rise over run is what we do when we calculate slope. So we figure out how much up and down did we go from point to point, and then how many over to the right did we go from point to point, okay? So rise over run is something to keep in mind. And basically the slope is the distance from one point to another, but you have to go, again, up and down and over. You can't count diagonally when we look at those 2 points. Now it's kind of strange, but the symbol for slope, whenever we're finding slope, we're finding m. And I always think of it as it's like two hills, and that's how I remember that it's m. Okay, so if we need to find the slope, here's our formula. Now I already told you it's rise over run, but when I give you 2 points to find the slope, you're basically going to take the two y values in those ordered pairs. So y2, the second y, minus the first y, over the second x minus the first x. Okay, and this formula, I always remember it because I kind of look at it as a picnic table with maybe some lemonade glasses on top, and that's kind of how I remember it. Or you can think of them as martinis, and you have to be 21 to drink that martini, right? So that's how I remember to take the second y minus the first y. So think about it. I'm having two ordered pairs, so this is my first set of ordered pairs, my x and y, and my second set of x and y. So I'm just going to plug those things in to the formula each time. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so let's practice that and see how it goes. So I've got tons of sets of ordered pairs. I'm going to look at those sets of ordered pairs, and the first thing I would highly recommend is to label them. So I've got my first set of x and y and my second set of x and y, and then it will really help especially if we're just starting this, to write down that slope formula, okay? So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm just going to plug in what I have here to that formula. Okay, so here are my two y values. I'm going to take that second y minus that first y, so 8 minus 5. And then I'm going to take the second x, which is 4, minus the first x, which is 2. So all I did was plug the numbers in to the formula, and now I'm going to figure out what it equals. So it's going to give me 3 over 2. I would always double check and make sure it's simplified. You can easily do that with your calculator. Now some calculators might simplify this to be 1 and 1/2. Which is a mixed number. Now remember, slope has to be a comparison of the y over the x. Oops. Okay, so a mixed number doesn't make sense for slope. So you always want to make sure that you have it as a simplified fraction. Improper fraction is fine where the bigger number is on top. Okay, but it should not be a mixed number. Okay? All right, let's try the second one. So I'm going to take the second y minus the first y. Now make sure your formula has a subtraction and the number I'm plugging in is a negative. So you need both of those in order for this to work. So be very careful with double negatives. Same thing on the bottom. I'm going to have the second x minus the first x. I'm going to have another double negative. Now if you remember, two negatives are going to turn into positives. So this is essentially 1 plus 4, which is 5. 4 plus 6 is 10. Now this can definitely be simplified. Again, with your calculator is fine, to be 1 over 2. Okay? All right, let's try the third one. So I'm going to take my second y minus my first, 9 minus 6. Negative 5 minus a negative 3. I've got another double negative. Be careful there. And this is going to simplify to 3 over negative 2. Okay? So I've got two positive slopes up here. This is my first negative slope. So this line is going to go down and to the right. These are going to go up and to the left. That's kind of the difference between positive and negative slopes. Last one, I'm going to take my y's on top, subtract my x's, and I'm going to have lots of negatives here. Now remember, two negatives here are also going to make a positive when you simplify that. So negative 3 negative 9 over negative 3 simplifies to just be 3. You could also write that as 3 over 1. Alrighty? Alright, so if you have any questions, please let me know and we'll do a bunch of practice with this.